Hello everyone, myself Dr. Priyanka. I'm an intern in JIMS Homeopathic Medical College, Hyderabad, India. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Kalatia sir for giving me this wonderful opportunity to be a part in this journey. I was asked to give a presentation regarding repertory. I would like to give the little knowledge. I would like to share the little knowledge that I have regarding the repertory and how to use it. Why do we need a repertory? After we take a case, we will get a maze of symptoms and we come to a totality. And to find a remedy, we have to match the totality with the thousands of remedies that we have, thousands of remedies and the materia medica that we have. And it's not an easy task. And with those huge number of remedies, it's very difficult and it's very confusing to compare the totality. So, and now we, as a average homeopath, we may have good grasp of hardly 100 drugs, and each of these drugs have further hundreds and thousands of symptoms in them, in which we can recollect hardly 50 or 100 symptoms. So we need an index, a reference book to find the materia medica, the exact simillimum that matches with the totality of the patient. So I feel repertory is the connecting link between the materia medica and the disease picture from the patient's totality. So only materia medica or only repertory cannot be helpful. As a good physician, we should have equal knowledge on both materia medica and repertory to find a simillimum. So I feel materia medica and repertory are complementary to each other. How to work with repertory? What are the steps to work with repertory? So these are the steps to repertorization. It starts with case taking, recording, defining the problem, analysis and evaluation of symptoms, totality of the case, selection of repertory and repertorization, repertorial result and its analysis, and finally concluding to a remedy. As we know, repertorization is called as a logical elimination of apparently similar remedies. So to get to a simillimum, these are the steps that has to be followed while using a repertory. So what is case taking? So why do we need to do a case taking? It is said that a well taken case is half cured. So aphorism 83 in Organon is very well explained about how to take a case and what are the instructions to a physician. And why do we need to take a case? To individualize the patient, which is the main motto. Individualize the patient as a whole, his suffering. So he said that the demands of the physician nothing but the free from prejudice. He should not have any prior judgments, prior impressions on the patient. He should have sound senses. He should be sound in senses, whatever the five senses: audio, visual, smell, tactile, and attention in observing and fidelity in tracing the picture of the disease. So he has to be accurate in tracing the picture of the disease. So these are the steps in case taking. After taking a case, we will get a huge number of symptoms. What to do with those symptoms? We have to record them and interpret the symptoms. After that, defining the problem. What is defining? It includes diagnosis and diagnosis of the disease, their predispositions, dispositions, what are the causes, and diathesis. So next comes the analysis and evaluation. Analysis is nothing but separation of the symptoms, the categorization and classification of the symptoms. We have to analyze every symptom in depth and arrange them logically, which requires a lot of time and patience. After which evaluation. Evaluation is nothing but grading or ranking the symptoms according to the priority. On what priority? Priority which are to be matched with the drug symptoms. So more important symptoms that have to be given more rank. Lesser important, lesser rank. And next comes the totality of the case or synthesis of the case. Synthesis is nothing but rearranging the symptoms, rearranging the information that is from the case taking, that the information that we get from them to form a comprehensive and conceptual image so that we can easily match with the drug symptoms. So the number of symptoms that are there in the totality need not be in larger number. Quality is more important. The qualitative sum should represent the individual and his suffering as a whole. Aphorism 7 explains very well about totality of the case. It's nothing but the outwardly reflected internal essence of the disease. So the disease that is expressed outwardly through symptoms which are collected together and shown as totality. So what should have totality? What are to be there in totality? Here comes the characteristic symptoms. Aphorism 153 explains very well about what are characteristic symptoms. These are the peculiar, uncommon, singular, and distinguishing symptoms which are to be met within the disease and to be cured in the greatest number and in the greatest similarity. So whatever the simillimum that we chose, that has to be met with these characteristic symptoms. These has to be cured first. So see, the most appropriate homeopathic specific remedy for this morbid state, the disease, will generally be removed and extinguished by the first dose of it without any considerable disturbance. So these has to be cured first. These are the keynote symptoms that we call. And next comes the repertory selection. How to select a repertory? There are huge n number of repertories. Patak, Boric, Boger, Kent repertory, synthesis, synthetic, complete repertory. How to select them? Patient itself tells. Patient symptoms tells us how to select a repertory. So how to select them? If we have more generals, which can be mental or physical, we can go to Kent repertory or synthesis repertory, complete repertory. And we have more particular symptoms in that case, like location, sensation, modality, and concomitance. We can go to BTPB. And if the case has more pathological generals, we can go to repertories like Patak, Boger. If there are more clinical symptoms, we can go to Boric repertory, even Patak repertory, Ner repertory. So like this. After selecting the repertory, the next step is to rearrange the totality that we got according to the repertory that is selected. And how to do the repertorization? Here comes the conversion of patient's language into repertorial language. So what is repertorial language? The rubrics. How to convert the symptoms into rubric? Here comes the factual repertorization and conceptual repertorization. This concept I learned from Kalatia sir. As a student, first we should have a grip regarding common symptoms. How to convert the common symptoms into rubrics. Then we can go and learn peculiar symptoms, the mental symptoms and the characteristic symptoms, and to convert them into rubrics. First we should have a grip on common symptoms. Because we see more common symptoms in our practice than as a student, first we can easily find common symptoms. So what is factual repertorization? So the symptoms are fact-oriented symptoms. Our interpretation is not at all needed in this kind of repertorization. So here the symptoms can be mental or physical. Let's take fear of animals. We can easily directly find the fear of animals in the mind chapter. Our interpretation is not at all needed here. Fear of dark. And what is conceptual repertorization? Here, interpretation of the patient's narration to be done according to our perception, the physician's perception, and our mind. So, on more and more practice, we can be more and more perfect practicing conceptual repertorization. In daily practice, factual repertorization is more commonly seen. And next, how to find a rubric? Symptoms found in the patient may not be in the form of rubrics, right? So to find the rubric, we should understand the rubrics first. Understand the meanings. Whatever the patient is saying, first we should understand the symptoms. Understand their meaning and find the keyword. whatever the patient is saying, what we have to find the words that have to be there in the rubric. We have to find the keywords. Let me explain this through an example. So a female patient came with menorrhagia. She says, whenever my menses starts, I have offensive smell from my mouth. So here understand that. So whenever she has menses, she has offensive smell from mouth. So what are the keywords that have to be there? Mouth, smell, offensive smell during menses. So then what is the next step? Choose the repertory. By default, as a student, we'll choose Kent repertory first. And the chapter. Where can we find this offensive smell? In the chapter mouth. And we have to try and try to find the closest rubric. We have many symptoms, similar symptoms, similar rubrics. How to find the nearest? So from those closest rubrics, we have to find the exact rubric that will exactly meet with the symptom. So this is the repertorization. Mouth, order, offensive, menses during. So let me explain this with few more examples. A patient says, Doctor, I don't feel like eating at all. But when I start eating a little, then I feel like eating more and more. So we have to understand that he doesn't feel hungry at all. But when he starts a little, then he feel like eating more and more. He feels more and more hungry. So I've chosen this rubric. Stomach, appetite, ravenous, because he feels more and more hungry and feel like eating more and more. Eating increases the hunger. So eating increases the hunger. So only remedy, lycopodium. One more example. A patient complains of cold, coryza, after waking up without any nasal discharge. He tries to clear the nose, but nothing comes out. How to take this? I've chosen the chapter nose, coryza, discharge without, morning. So from these remedies, we have to select a remedy that is more closer to the patient's totality. And one more. A patient comes and says, Doctor, my immunity is very low. Whatever I eat, it easily affects me. Whatever he takes, it easily affects me. It shows that he is very sensitive. He gets affected for small things. So I interpreted the symptom and considered the patient is very sensitive and very easily affected by everything. So this is the rubric. Delicate, tender, easily innovated. And there are many rubrics, many remedies here. Lycopodium, Calcarea phos, conium, arsal. So from the symptomatology and the totality, we have to select whatever the remedy that is most exact. One more patient. A patient comes and says whatever he wanted to show. He wants to give you an impression that he has something that is not real, not natural to him, which actually he doesn't have. So they are artificial. The patient is not. We can observe this through by asking the bystanders, and we can observe this by observing him in the waiting room. So from this we can interpret the rubric. Affectation. He wants to pretend and he wants to show something that he isn't. He isn't at all. There are many remedies. Hyoscyamus, ignitia, lycopodium, Staphysagria, sepia, Silesia, Thuja. So we can select the remedy from those drugs. One more symptom. A patient came with allergic rhinitis. She says, to be healthy, she need to be fit and thin. She want to be fit and thin and not to gain any weight at all. For that she's doing intense physical workouts and exercises and also maintains strict diet. Even though she has lost already lots of weight and vigor, she's very thin and very pale and she still continues the same. So we can interpret this that here that he has obsession to lose weight and to do repeated workouts. So there is obsession towards the same thing. So consider this monomania, obsession towards single thing, or same thoughts, same persistently thinking about the same thing. There are many drugs here: Ignatia, Silesia, Nux-Moscata, Drosera. So we have to select the remedy that matches. So after repertorization, next step is to come to conclusion, to come to a remedy. How to come to a conclusion? Again, confirm with the source. Remedy that gets the highest mark after the repertorization is not necessarily the final remedy. We have to compare the repertorial result with the materia medica. The final quote is materia medica. We have to verify with them. And there are some symptoms like potential differential field, PDF. Confirm with them, and then come to conclusion and find the remedy. Let me explain this through a case that I recently seen. A dengue case. A male patient of age 16 years. He came with fever since 4 days, with 104 degrees. He has fever with chills in back and coldness descending from up to down. Along with this, he has violent burning, thirst, and vomiting during the fever. He also has joint pains and muscle pains. He's saying that he has bone-breaking pains and muscular soreness, headache which is ameliorated by vomiting. The patient came with skin rashes. As it's a dengue case, he has skin rashes along with itching. He also has difficulty in breathing along with the cough. He has to hold the chest. The cough and the difficulty in the breathing is ameliorated from conversation. So this is a these are all general symptoms. So I have generalized completely and I have chosen the FATAC repertory here. The patient also came with the investigation the same day, the 3rd of November. So these are the investigations. The platelet count is 45,000, and he's also tested dengue positive on the same day, on 3rd November. Here comes the repertorization. So these are the rubrics that I have chosen: back, chill, coldness up and down, chest and lungs, hold must, conversation amelioration, head vomiting, amelioration, thirst, violent burning, vomiting, fever during. I've chosen FATAC repertory for this, and here comes the repertorization. So all the rubrics are covered by the remedy Epitorium. So there are other symptoms that can be similar to Epitorium, like bone breaking pains, chillness, chilly, very very chilly. So I've given this. Epitorium perfoliatum 1 m water dose every 4 hourly for 3 days, and followed by placebo. After 3 days, he came with another follow-up. On 6th November, he came with investigation. So the platelet count is 2.1 lakh, and he is dengue negative. Itching, all the itching is reduced. There are small amount of rashes, but there is no itching. Fever and headache reduced. General wellness of the patient is good, and body aches also got reduced. Continue with placebo then. And after 3 more days, he came with one more report. The platelet count is 4.6 lakhs, 4.37 lakhs, and he tested dengue negative. There is no fever, no body aches. The general wellness is good, and all the rashes got healed, and there is no itching. So the patient completely got cured from the fever and all the other symptoms that he presented after taking Epitorium perfoliatum 1 m. So this is how I've treated this dengue case by completely generalizing the symptoms that the patient said, and by using the FATAC repertory and the repertorization. How to study a repertory? How to use a repertory? So first, if we have to study a repertory, we have to know the rubrics that are there in the repertory. So to study a repertory, first we have to know the philosophical background and the construction, how the rubrics are arranged, how the chapters are there in that repertory, and know in what kind of situations, what kind of repertory is to be used, and their limitations and their adaptability, their merits and demerits, then we can know how to use a repertory, in which kind of situations how to use a repertory. So to study a repertory, first understand the rubrics, understand the rubric word and its meaning, its origin, in its root form, in its depth, and also understand the cross references and the similar sounding rubrics in different repertories. Not only in that repertory, how a same rubric is used in different repertories in different forms. So after getting familiar and knowing their meanings, we can easily get an idea how to use and when to use the rubric. When a patient comes and says a symptom, we can easily directly go to the rubric that is required exactly. And also in a rubric, read the remedies that are there. What are the remedies that are actually involved in that rubric? By understanding the patterns and the symptoms, and especially going through the drug provings of that remedy, the source provings. So with this, we can also increase our materia medica knowledge. Whatever we study in the materia medica directly, we can also increase our knowledge of that drug through these rubrics. As a student, I believe Chem repertory is the basic and fundamental repertory that has to be studied first as a student. So how to study that? Work out at least 10 rubrics. It hardly takes half an hour. Just get familiar with those words so that we can know how to use and when to use, when it is required to use. If it's difficult to discuss or work out alone, find a partner, discuss with them, discuss how to use, in what situations those rubrics are used. To increase our knowledge how to study repertory, there are many books like How to Utilize Symptoms of Cases for Finding Out a Similimum with the Help of Repertory, a book written by J.N. Kanjilal. It's a very, very helpful book to study repertory and to convert symptoms into rubric. There is one more book, How to Best Use Boger and Boardinghausen's Repertory by Farooq J. Master. And there is one more book, How to Find Similimum Using VBCR by Banu Desai. There are many exercises, rubric exercises, so that we can learn more and more rubrics regarding that repertory. There is a series of books written by M.L. Sehgal. In that there are many rubrics and their meanings are available in that series of books. Rediscovery of Homeopathy. Refer those books so that we can increase our knowledge how to study a repertory and how to use a repertory while working out a case. Thank you, Kalatia sir, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to be a part in this session, to be a part in this journey, and to be a mentor, to express my views that I have regarding this repertory and how to use it. Thank you.